Welcome back to the Spin the Rock podcast. It's playoff season, so if you don't want to miss out on everything big during this postseason, follow us on all social media and then make sure to listen to us on all popular podcast platforms and YouTube.
Hello and welcome back to the Spin the Raw podcast. I am your host, Angel, and with me today is
Eugene?
And Vaughn.
all right. First things first.
It's a parade inside my city. Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of late, but Nuggets are the champs, NBA champs. I mean, let's just talk about that. We have a lot to catch up on. So this episode is like a recap plus if time we'll talk about the draft. But we've been gone for 3 weeks and I could have sworn there was going to be like at least a week of nothing, but that hasn't been the case whatsoever. So let's talk about
the opposite.
Yeah, the complete opposite. Let's talk first things first. Nuggets are the champions. How'd y'all feel about those finals? How'd you feel about the Nuggets winning? Let's just talk about all of that.
I think we all saw it coming.
Yeah, like we were saying like either sweep or gentleman sweep. We'd be lucky to get 6 games and gentleman sweep. For this finals, it was kind of like win-win for me to see whoever won because either Jimmy Butler gets a ring or Jokic gets a ring, and both guys are like really great and just it would be good for their legacy and just their resume accomplishments, So it's good to see Jokic win and Jamal Murray have a healthy playoff Murray just went at it like all postseason, so it's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been history on either side of the story. So it was cool to see though the Nuggets actually, as an organization, win a championship. Me personally, I never would have saw that coming, but we lived to see the day.
I mean, me neither. I'm known as the pessimistic guy for the Nuggets. And I had to keep up. I had to keep it up, though. During the finals, I couldn't all of a sudden be optimistic. Even though I still had to play it off. When people were like, you think Nuggets going to win it all? I was like, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Even though deep down I knew inside that there was no fucking way that he would have beaten us. But, yeah, it's kind of insane. The parade was give Denver a reason to get drunk, and they will fucking show up. Like,
did you go?
No, I was working.
Dude,
I never knew until the Avs won last year that parades are like 10 in the morning.
They're mad early.
I always thought they were in the afternoon until like last year the Avs won. I was like, I'm gonna go to the fucking parade. Let's go. And then someone told me it's like 10 in the morning, and I was like, what the fuck? On a Thursday. It's 10 in the morning on a Thursday. I was like, what the hell? But hey, it was just cool to see. Of course, we all saw the clip at least 50 times of Jokic like just not caring. Like I saw that clip at least once a day for the past 2 weeks. Like it was probably like 2 days ago when I finally didn't see the clip on my feed or tweet about the clip.
Right.
But
he's just living in his own world, bro.
For real.
He's just trying to hoop.
It was a long season. He wanted to go back to feed his horses.
Oh, facts. Man treats the NBA as if it's a 9 to 5, bro. Like the way I'd be acting at work is the way Jokic be acting, but he's making millions instead. I'm making $19. Hey, but okay, the real question is, do you see a Nuggets repeat at all? Just mind you, there hasn't been a repeat since KD and the Warriors. No one has won back-to-back since KD and the Warriors. So do you see the Nuggets breaking that, or do you think the NBA is just getting too good?
There's certainly the team to beat right now because you look at their postseason, it was a pretty dominant run, Timberwolves in 5, Suns in 6. People thought that series was going to go to 7. Sweep for the Lakers, and then gentlemen sweep in the finals. So those Western Conference teams are probably going to have to build a team that could help, like actually play defense against a team like that. Because we saw like whatever they threw at Jokic, he could handle it. So Good luck to any team that thinks they can take him down. They might just have to wish for a dice roll with injuries. Like, I don't know how you game plan against that.
That's true though, because like, I mean, other than Jamal coming back and what's his face, MPJ fighting his back injuries, they didn't really have any injuries. You know, they stayed pretty much healthy throughout the entirety of the season, even playoffs. So, but to answer the question, no, I don't see them repeating, but it is a possibility. Like, it's not. I'm not completely taking it off the table.
Yeah, it'll be kind of. I'm just excited to see, because like if we get another season of a different champion, it just means that we're in a golden era for sure. But we shall see. I mean, I would love a repeat.
Don't get me wrong. Like,
No, don't get. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be insane if the Nuggets were the first team to repeat since the KD Warriors. Oh my God, the narratives. But you know, we shall see. Speaking of injuries, though, I was worried because Jokic like went limping off. I don't know what game that was. I think it was.
wasn't it like
Game-
4? It
I
was
think it
towards
was
the
4.
end.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
towards the end of the series, and he went limping off at the end of the second quarter. And I was like, no way, this is the time he gets injured, because that man's been healthy for a long time.
And it's
But-
like,
He came back and fucking dominated in the second half.
right, because like it Jokic is not athletic by any means. You know,
Mhm.
he might be fit, but he's not athletic. So it's like he has no reason to get hurt. He can't
Mhm.
even jump off the ground correctly. You know what I'm saying? So it was like seeing him actually twist his ankle was like, what? Like
Yeah,
it was a weird sight, but kept it pushing.
yeah, for real. All right, moving on. So I'm gonna try to keep the recaps in chronological order. So we shall see if I do this right or not. Let's start off with the biggest piece of news that some people were more excited for than who's going to win the finals, and that is Ja Morant's punishment. This was like LeBron's decision. Like the way people were hyping up this punishment is kind of insane. I never seen so much hype for a man's downfall in my life.
Okay,
Like-
but like Adam Silver was also kind of hyping it himself, though.
No, it was insane. Everything about this was literally insane. Ja Morant has been suspended for 25 games of the season. Is that too much, too little, just right? What do y'all think about this?
I think it's too much. Like, that's over a quarter of the regular season. That's actually a lot of games, you know?
Mhm.
If the season was like 100 games, then I'd be like, okay, it's fair. But I think he should have got like probably a quarter of the season instead of like 25 games. That's a lot of games. And it's like, and then they're gonna have to work him back into the system. I mean, that's a problem for the team, but they're gonna have to work him back into the system with him being main option. And you know, they don't have Dylan Brooks. So who's main option on that team now? They don't have Tyus Jones. Is it Desmond Bain? Is it Steven Adams? Like who's gonna be first option? But yeah, I think it's too large of a punishment. They could have even gave him like less games and like a fine, or you know, did what they did with Kyrie, just give him a whole bunch of side missions, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah, like I just would like to see Ja play, but I see the justification. Like this is the second time doing this. It was
Mhm.
like super avoidable. But I think the only good thing is that this game suspension is at the very beginning of the season. So, you know, maybe the team goes through some woes, but then he gets back and he can right the ship. He's got, you know, about 65 plus games to do it or something like that. And then that's just a different team too. like we've seen in the past, they could handle Ja being absent, but now, like Eugene said, Tyus Jones, Dylan Brooks are gone. They got to plug in Marcus Smart. Is Steven Adams going to come back at the very beginning of the season? So, regardless of the suspension or not, they're a different team, and they're going to have to find ways to work with each other.
Like a really completely different team. Like it's going to be interesting, especially because they were coming off of what, like a second seed this year, third seed. So,
yeah, I mean, you guys said it, like said all that I can think. I also agree though that it was a bit much, but at the same time, like, how stupid can you be? You can't like I don't know. I don't want to go on about it too long, but yeah, I think 25 games is also a bit much, but also at the same time, we gotta admit, I was a little disappointed when I saw 25 games. I was like, damn, that's a lot, but like to make a whole press conference about how you're gonna wait to announce it, I expected like 30.
I know. I expected like the whole half of the season. So
Yeah,
I was
like it took me until the next day to be like, okay, yeah, that's still a lot. But at the time, I was like, damn, 25. But it is kind of insane how all he did was not all he did, but he flashed a gun and got 25 games, whereas some people did way more and got below 20. So, but I get it. Face of the league, you gotta show him like, look, you can't be doing this.
Right.
All right. Third piece of news, the NBA had to do some damage control. So they put out the stat that this was the most watched playoffs in the past 5 years. Not the finals necessarily, but the playoffs as a whole, it has been the most watched in the past 5 years. How do y'all feel about that? Do y'all agree that this is probably one of the better playoffs, or do you think that's kind of like not a big deal?
Well, it's just like one big mystery box. So I think that's kind of what attracted people to it, as opposed to years in the past, where there was like clear favorites to win everything. It helps. The Heat went under a little run, so everyone was kind of looking to see when it would end, and it took all the way to the finals. I think the Eastern Conference Finals game 6 or 7 was like the most watched in NBA history, which that was kind of crazy. And that probably helped inflate the playoff record viewership, So I see why it happened. I hope moving forward it continues to be like this. So yeah, I think it was a success of the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely think just like the Eastern Conference carried this playoffs. And then probably Nuggets fans as well. Because I'd assume like Nuggets fans don't even watch the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, everything in the West kind of went the way it was supposed to, regardless of seeding, And then, as Vaughn mentioned, the Heat run, with Giannis being out early in the playoffs. The Sixers popped off. The Celtics lost. So, yeah, it was just a whole bunch of surprising factors more than anything, at least on the East side. I think that's what carried it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I feel like the East side was a lot more entertaining. First round, I think, was entertaining as a whole. I think the first round really got a lot of people in. But I feel like for the East, it just got better. For the West, the series just got worse. Like, it was a complete flip flop. But I mean, I feel like I wonder what the numbers would have been like if Warriors Lakers was what everyone thought it would be, instead of the Lakers steamrolling the Warriors. Like, imagine what the numbers would have been like if like Warriors and Lakers was the boxing match everyone expected to watch. Like, the numbers would have been through the roof. But you can't have everything we wish for. People are hyping up Nuggets, Maverick Suns rematching. That didn't even come close to happening. So, but what was your guys' favorite series? Out of all the games, like what series had you glued? Feel like all right, some of our answers might be a little obvious.
I mean, bias wise, Lakers Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Unbiased wise, even though I didn't even really watch a lot of it, but I was like keeping up with it. Probably Heat Bucks. Only because like they literally like ran through Bucks. It was crazy. And
Yeah.
I understand, Giannis, is basically their entire offense, but like they still have pieces to where they can win games. They just weren't, you know what I'm saying? So but that just goes to show you how much of an impact Giannis has on that team.
Yeah, that was an exciting series to watch, but I really like long series, and full bias. I'm gonna say Celtics Sixers because that man Joel Embiid just can't beat that team. I remember years ago they were talking about a rivalry between Sixers Celtics, and Joel Embiid admitted like every time they face them they get whooped. So just kind of it's almost like destiny at this point, a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it took 7 games to do it. All that mattered was the W at the end, and I was really entertained that series. There were some games the Celtics probably should have won, but I enjoyed it as a whole.
That one was a good series. It was a good series.
Yeah, that one had the Harden moments where Harden was like popping off.
Yeah.
I liked all the series you guys have said so far. Bias wise for me has to be Nuggets Timberwolves because I just hate the Timberwolves. It was just so fun to watch the Nuggets just wipe the floor with another team. And then unbiased wise, Kings Warriors. Oh man, that series was so fun to watch. Just Curry being Curry, but also the Kings actually making Warriors fans a little scared. Warriors fans were saying 4-0. Like Warriors fans were like talking sweep and gentleman sweep at the most, but then the Kings took them all the way to 7. And
7, bro. Like in your head, you think that's crazy, but actually watching that series was like crazier. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It was wild.
I mean, think about like all the sides of like Malik Monk getting like leaving the Lakers and popping off on the Kings, and people who are like Kings fans finally seeing De'Aaron Fox in the playoffs, and Warriors haters like getting to watch the Warriors struggle. Like it just like hit all the boxes. And like I was telling people, there are people who are like, man, I'm watching this series and it's boring. I'm like, why aren't you watching the Kings Warriors? Like that series was so exciting. I'm excited for the Kings for sure. Hopefully they'll be in the playoffs next year because they're just a fun team to watch. All right, moving on. This started a wave of just insane news. When this dropped, I was like, okay, nothing's gonna top this for the rest of the season. And then little did we know that it was just a start. Like
we didn't know about the script.
Yeah. So let's start off with the first thing. Bradley Beal is now a Phoenix Sun. I mean, they lost Landry Shamet and CP3 and first and second round picks for Bradley Beal. How do y'all feel about this trade? Like let's get into this.
I hate it. I hate it. The Wizards, well, I'm going to talk as if this trade is still like the pieces are where they are. So the Wizards, CP3's career is done. He's done. I love CP3. I got a Clipper jersey in my closet, but him being in Washington, he's done. Bradley Beal on the Suns, I don't know how that's going to work because they now have more or less 4 ball-dominant players in the starting 5. Devin Booker, who's been on that team since he got drafted. KD, prominent scorer. Bradley Beal, 30-point plus per game scorer. And DeAndre Ayton, who needs the ball to be able to do anything in the paint. And now they have no point guard. So, I mean, I guess they have like Cameron Payne, but he's not.
Yeah.
He can start on some teams, not a lot though. I don't know. I'm just not a fan. Bradley Beal and Devin Booker have the same bag. I don't know.
That's
Not a
true
fan.
for sure.
They could play Campaign at point guard, but I think they've been looking at Devin Booker, and he's got some decent assist numbers for a shooting guard. It's around the 7 assist mark. And if you were to embrace a point guard role, I can see why they move him to point guard and put Bradley Beal at shooting guard. But still, it's a challenging fit, considering you're losing Chris Paul, who was a certified playmaker. And he always was the one to bring out the best in DeAndre Ayton. But now you got 3 score-first guys primarily. And, there's no way DeAndre Ayton's going to be happy about playing.
Being the fourth option.
Yeah, the fourth option where he's already seeing limited passes towards him. So that's going to be a struggle in itself. And I think if we compare KD teams, this Suns team has to be in a worse position than that Nets team. Whether you have James Harden there or not, like the only guys on the roster are their 3 superstars, DeAndre Ayton and Campaign. If you take Campaign out of the picture, they're already over the luxury tax. So from here on out, they can really only afford vets on the minimum. So those are just ring chaser guys. I could see Blake Griffin end up there again, playing beside Kevin Durant, but they're not going to get much on that roster. That's not to mention the reason why they're trading Chris Paul, I'm assuming, is his injury history. But Chris Paul has played over 30 games than Bradley Beal in the last 2 seasons on the Suns, not including playoffs. And in the last 4 seasons, Chris Paul has played more games than Bradley Beal. Not to mention Bradley Beal, not to say he's on a downward slope or anything, but his 3-point percentage varies from 30% to 36%, just depending on the season. So you don't know what you're going to get with Bradley Beal. I mean, you're assuming scorer, but like he could go down just as easily as Chris Paul. And, you got Kevin Durant also getting older. So they're kind of in the same situation almost, except they got to figure out a whole new roster. So,
Roster and system.
Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to pull this off. But
And who's their coach since Monty's gone?
Isn't it Frank Vogel?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
I think so.
That's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
This team has a lot to figure out. Like a lot. Yeah, I mean, I also hate it, but in a different reason. I hate it mostly because it's like, if you want to get rid of Chris Paul, why'd you get someone who's probably gonna be more like not as useful? Like let's be honest, Chris Paul is more useful than Bradley Beal. I know a lot of people hate Chris Paul and think he's washed and whatever, but that man is like what, almost the same age as LeBron now. Like not now, but like he's close to LeBron's age, and he's still like getting numbers. And so not like LeBron numbers, but like he's still a very useful assist guy. Like he's still pass first, get the dimes. Just to trade it away with someone whose best season was 2 seasons ago, and wasn't the best player on the Wizards team. Like, I don't know.
I never understand that either. Like when they trade away like a position and they're not getting the same position back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I never understand that, but
it's wild. I mean, a lot of this. And so also, there's a lot of people talking like making it like, what about their debt? They already had no debt. Like
That was the problem last year. Yeah.
like they didn't lose anything really. They lost Landry Shamet. Like try to picture him in your head. You can't. You probably don't even know like the last time he played a game, bro. So I don't know. I think it's weird what the Suns are trying to do. And like it seems like they're just taking steps backwards. They're doing what the Padres did in baseball, which is throw money, but instead of getting players that will actually help them, they're just, saying like, okay, whoever grabs the money first is going to be on our team. That's what they're doing. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, another thing just to add on to the Chris Paul washed allegations. Like you don't need him at superstar form all the time. Like Jason Kidd, also known as a great playmaker, won with the Mavericks in 2011 for the chip. That man only averaged 8 points, 8 assists on 36% field goal percentage. This man, Chris Paul, still putting up 14 and 9 on 44% field goal percentage. So not only is he scoring still, king of the mid range, he's still putting up even higher numbers. His 3-point shot is still there, as opposed to Jason Kidd didn't really have a 3-point shot towards the end of his career, at least, and then still very efficient from field goal. Like
I was about to say too, and like that was like old Jason Kidd. Like
yeah,
I think
So
didn't he
there-
retire on the Mavericks?
I think he went to the Knicks for his last year, but
Did he?
he was there for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know why we aren't valuing skill sets as much as we are like empty stat lines sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. We'll see how it goes for Chris Paul.
Yeah, it is kind of insane because like Eugene already said, they already had 3 guys who are used to being the main option. And so Chris Paul, who passed first, was actually good for them. Sure, he had injury problems, but like you need someone who doesn't care about their points. Just to get a guy who also was used to being a first option.
Yeah.
Like now you have no one who's passed first on your team.
You got 3 ISO players now, bro.
Yeah, like it's kind of insane. It's like the same thing that happened when like Russ and KD split. Like Russ had to be the first option, and he had no one who was passed first. Beal, when John Wall left, had to be the first option, and like we saw what happened after to the Wizards after John Wall left. Like it's just not good for the Suns at all. A team who's already can't beat the regular season allegations. It's going to be very interesting to see how this team plays next season.
It's just like a guy like CP3, even if he's on the bench, he provides some sort of value because he just knows the rules so well. He's just a pest. Like whatever he's doing, like he's trying to win. So
yeah.
I don't think he's washed by any means. I literally hate when people say that because it's like, bro, like his career, he averages like 15 and 9, almost 10, something like that. So it's like when you almost averaging like a double for your entire almost 20-year career, like you're a good player. And obviously he's got the accolades too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think people just don't think I don't think people think about him as highly as they used to.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see, honestly, because I think he's having I still think he's having a good career. Like,
yeah,
from ever since he left the Clippers, a lot of people are like, that's when it all went wrong. Bro, he took a Thunder team to the playoffs by himself.
Literally by himself.
Like, he went to a poverty Suns franchise team and they made it to the fucking finals. This man is not in a downward slope at all. I mean, maybe now. Maybe now it is. We'll get to that later. But like at the time, the Clippers barely got past the first round.
Right. They could not. I think they made it to the second round like twice or once.
So it's like you can't say it's been a downward slope when he's doing just as good, if not better. So, but whatever. Moving on. Kristaps Porzingis is now a Boston Celtic, and Marcus Smart is now a Memphis Grizzly. But let's talk about the ups and downs of this trade. So at first, Kristaps Porzingis was a Celtic. And then Woj was like, nah, never mind. And then he was like, wait, yes, he is. Plus, Marcus Smart is a Grizzly. It was wild.
Yeah.
It was so wild. That time frame of Kristaps Porzingis being a Boston legend and then not, and then once again being on the Celtics was insane. So let's start off with Kristaps Porzingis on the Celtics. And then we'll get into, because I feel like that's going to be a shorter discussion than Marcus Smart leaving the Celtics, because that's like a big deal. So we'll start with Kristaps Porzingis on the Celtics. We'll start with, of course, the Boston fan.
No, crazy interior defense. Crazy. Got Robert Williams and Porzingis down there, and I would assume Horford would come off the bench just because he's getting older.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my God, come playoff time, like as long as everyone's healthy, it's going to be like just a tough task every time trying to score in the paint. Plus, we're getting a good big who can shoot threes, like spot up shoot, and not just like certain parts of the court. He can shoot from all areas of the 3-point line, even deep threes. So that's exciting in itself. We've seen what Horford does. He's like 42% from three. And that's just because, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum have so much attention they can kick it out. So he'll fit right in the system. My only worry is injuries between Robert Williams and Porzingis. Porzingis probably had his healthiest season last year, so that's good to see. But I hope that works out. But oh man, to lose the heart and soul of the Celtics in Marcus Smart, that was tough to swallow. Like, it was tough seeing Malcolm Brogdon, who was supposed to go to the Clippers, like, oh, we just lost our sixth man of the year. But then we lose our defensive player of the year. Oh, that hurt. That one really hurt.
Yeah, it was a shock to me. Both trades, Porzingis going to the Celtics and Marcus going to the Grizzlies. I don't know if he'll necessarily add, as in Kristaps, I don't know if he'll necessarily add anything to the Celtics, given they've already, for the most part, most of that roster has been deep in the playoffs and or the finals. He might help with, threes, like Vaughn said, and defense, but it's really the injuries that concern me anyway. But even if he gets hurt for like an extended amount of time, they'll still be fine. They'll be the team without him. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't. It definitely doesn't hurt to have him, but I don't think he necessarily adds a whole bunch to the Celtics.
I don't know, bro. Think of it like this: Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis are kind of similar. So all they did was just get a younger Al Horford.
I mean, true, but Al Horford is healthier though, bro.
Yeah, I guess that's very true. That is very true. But I'm just saying, let's say
it's like trade-offs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Al Horford's older, but Kristaps has more time, more or less.
Yeah. So
and
it's like
taller. He's a lot taller. So
it's kind of like the opposite of what the Suns did. Instead of getting rid of their aging point guard and getting someone just as old and just as bad, they got someone who was actually younger than their power forward. It's like different ends of the spectrum,
Right.
But I mean, I think it's exciting for sure. Like their bench is deep now, though. Like that's one thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Their bench is loaded. Like, sure, they lost Marcus Smart, but like they still kept Brogdon, which I thought was like gonna be insane. Like, oh my god, they lost Brogdon. But now they get Horford and Brogdon on the bench. They have their younger guys, and now they have, like Vaughn said, insane interior defense. Like, if there's one thing about Kristoff that he didn't lose as time went on, it was that interior defense. That was the one thing that like never like diminished. And if Robert Williams is like back as if he was, 2 seasons ago during that finals run, oh my goodness, they're gonna be insane to watch next season. As for Marcus Smart on the Grizzlies, I never thought I would see the day. I'll be honest.
Never.
I thought he was gonna retire Celtic, or that he would ask for
Everyone
more
did.
money, and they just said no. Like, I never thought I would see him traded. Especially, I thought if he was gonna be traded, it would be like a blockbuster trade, like insane. Him and 2 other people and first round picks. I never thought I would see him in like a 3-team deal. Like, it's so insane to see.
Especially after winning an NBA award, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know the NBA is a business. All sports are a business.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, bro,
It's brutal.
He's bleeding green, bro. He's bleeding green.
That man dyed his hair green.
Yeah, literally green.
Oh.
Like, this is like gonna be really good for the Grizzlies though. Like, this is gonna be 2.0 of Tony Allen, like bringing the culture for the grit and grind Grizzlies. Like, they lacked maturity, and I think having Marcus Smart there helps. You got Steven Adams is their vet, but he's pretty chill, humble guy. So if this guy Marcus Smart, who would get in screaming matches with, Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum after a tough loss, like he may set that ship right, So
True.
Maybe have accountability for the team. Not to mention, like, he's bringing defense, replacing Dylan Brooks. Hopefully he just adds like leadership there, as opposed to Dylan Brooks like calling LeBron old and then poking the bear and just everything going wrong for him.
Who do you think won more, the Celtics or the Grizzlies?
Well, Celtics got 2 first-round picks as well, so I'm gonna
that's
just say
right.
Celtics.
That is true.
Don't know what they did with them, what years they are, but they have them. They're still gonna have to figure out Marcus Smart like on offense, because in these last few years he's been a better playmaker. Is he still going to be that when Ja returns? I don't know. They lost Tyus Jones. He's probably going to have to at some point. And then as far as like shooting goes, he takes some wild ass shots when he shouldn't. Some deep threes that he knows he can't make. He makes like maybe 1 in 20 of them. And that 1 in 20 just spikes his confidence every time. So that'll be interesting to see where Taylor Jenkins implements him on the offense. Is he just going to be like a shooting guard once Ja comes back? I don't know. They still got to find someone taller to guard guys like LeBron, because I don't think a guy like Desmond Bane should be having that assignment. And Marcus Smart could do that, but you don't want him doing that all year long, all playoffs long, because he's only like 6'4". So guys can just shoot over him. So they still got to do things for their roster. So interesting for both teams. Hope it pans out.
Yeah, with Ja being out, I think I would assume Taylor Jenkins would kind of use Marcus Smart as like he did, or like he was used on the Celtics that like 1 year when they threw him at point guard. And then they'll probably, I would also assume, Desmond Bane at shooting guard, given his 3-point acumen, but and hopefully Steven Adams is healthy at the start of the season. But yeah, their lineup is going to look very weird, especially with Jaw out, and then especially probably even more when he comes back, because then it's like,
yeah.
do you start a defensive player of the year or do you start, a shooting guard who can shoot threes? Because Marcus can't really shoot them at a consistent clip. So unless they go the small ball route, but I don't think they should necessarily do that. But yeah, I don't know. The Grizzlies are going to be a very interesting team to watch next year.
For sure. And we won't even see the real Grizzlies until like 30
25 games in.
And not even, because like let's say 25 games in plus like the 5 to 10 games it takes for them to actually settle on like their lineup.
That's
so
true,
it'll probably be like game 35 where we actually see what the Grizzlies are gonna look like.
Right.
And by then we'll probably be in like what, January, February, around there.
Yeah, it'll be close to All-Star break.
So Grizzlies are just as confusing as the Suns for completely different reasons too. And it gets more confusing because now we're going on a whole nother shit show. So let's start off with Draymond Green declined his player option for the Warriors. Let's talk about that real quick before we get into the next thing that happened with the Warriors. Is that a big deal? Do you think he'll re-sign with the Warriors, or do you think he's for sure just going after that bag?
That's tough because I've seen the reports where he wants over $100 million in a deal. And that's like, you may get value out of him those first 2 years, but he's already on the downward slope. Like those last 2-3 years, depending on the team that signs him, it might look like that Luol Deng contract when he was on the Lakers. And that man didn't even play the last 2 years.
Bro, and I think we were still paying him when he retired, bro. Like, that contract was insane.
It might just be bait to get the Warriors to pay him that money, but I don't know if they should necessarily. Like, maybe why they did the Chris Paul trade is because they want playmaking. Like, Draymond does his pick and roll, get the ball to Steph and Clay at the right moment. So maybe they want CP3 to kind of do something like that. But I don't know. That Warriors team needs money to sign some more big guys, whether it be power forward, center, because we've seen it all last year. They were getting killed just based on size.
I don't know what's gonna happen with Draymond. I haven't seen nothing. I haven't heard nothing.
Yeah. I literally think the last thing was him declining his option.
Right.
And it's been silent since.
Airtight, bro. Like, what do I think he's gonna do? I assume if he declined it and the Warriors don't offer, he's probably gonna sign with another team.
Mm-hmm.
What team would make him an offer? I don't know,
bro.
Because I don't even know who wants him, let alone needs a power forward, other than like the weaker teams in the league, and obviously he's not going to go there. But yeah, the Warriors without Draymond is not going to look good.
No,
he was a big part of their offense, big part.
And I might even say the Draymond without the Warriors isn't gonna look good.
That's probably gonna be even worse.
It's a lose-lose, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lose-lose for both sides. Here's what I think. One, no one on that team deserves $100 million other than Steph Curry. And that's facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clay. I know Clay thinks he probably does. Like, let's be honest, Clay's insane. So he probably thinks he deserves $100 million, but he doesn't. Like, they just gave out a big contract, and we saw how that ended out. So I don't know. What I think will happen is that no one is gonna give him the money he wants, so he's gonna end up re-signing with the Warriors anyways, and just like get the most he can. But I don't see anyone giving him $100 million, over $100 million at that.
Yeah,
I don't
over.
So what I think is gonna happen is that it's gonna come down to two teams. someone's gonna throw a number out there. The Warriors are gonna match that number, and he's gonna choose the Warriors. The last team that went out for a big man was the Pacers with Ayton, and like ever since then, I don't think I've seen a big man get a fat check in a while. So besides Jokic, but like that was an extension, and it's Jokic, so it's kind of insane. Like we shall see what's gonna happen because we know nothing.
I can only really see like two teams, like just initially thinking. I can see the Kings trying to sign him. I don't know if it's 100 million, probably a big contract though. Only because they only got two big contracts, which would be De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. So maybe they could afford him. Not to mention, I think Harrison Barnes' contract expires, so they would have more room. Put him at power forward, help all the scorers they got, Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and then if Keegan Murray takes a jump. So I could see that, the Kings having interest. Also, I could see him going to the Lakers on a discount because the way he'd be talking about LeBron, that man meat rides him like no other. Like they're playing in the league. They're still in the league together. I've never seen another grown man talk about a work colleague like this ever. It's all praise. It's kind of crazy. No matter what the subject is, he'll find a way to put him in there. So I could see him having interest going to Lakers, even on a discount if he really wanted to. But his home would probably be best sticking to the Warriors.
Yeah. And moving on, still on the Warriors. Might be a deciding factor on him re-signing with them because Poole and CP3 swapped. Jordan Poole is now a Wizard, and CP3 is now a Warrior. Insane. Like we're not even 2-3 weeks away from the finals ending, and and we got another really big trade. I mean, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Poole on the Wizards and CP3 on the Warriors. Do you think it was a good trade? Do you think it was a bad trade? Do you think it was a mediocre trade? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
It's an I don't know trade. I have no idea what to think about it.
Both CP3 trades were ass, bro. I'm sorry. They were terrible. But it was terrible for the Warriors because obviously, like you mentioned earlier, they paid Poole a bag and a half, and then they traded him. But okay, well, here's also my thought process as well. So Bob Myers left. He said, "I'm not coming back after the season." He left. And then I think the front office, it's not one person making, the decision. You know what I'm saying? So it's like once he left, they let all the dogs go. They were like, all right, he thought highly of Poole. We don't like him. Boom, he's out of there. Who can we trade him for? CP3. Boom, let's make it happen. Then they made it happen. Terrible trade for the Warriors. I don't know who made that decision, but they need to be fired. But for the Wizards, I think it was a good trade. They have the money, obviously, to pay him. And Poole can really use this, hopefully, as a stepping stone for his career. He's going to be able to put up literally any shot he wants alongside Kuzma. Maybe a duo, maybe a young duo. Also, they got Rui. No, they don't. We have Rui. I'm bugging. Who do they have? Who else do they have?
Dude, no clue.
Monte Morris, Tyus Jones, both point guards. Those are the only ones I remember.
Dang, they ain't got nobody. I thought they had someone else.
Denny Avdia, but he don't really score like that. He's a defender.
Everyone you knew on the Wizards
are like a sophomore, or is he third year now?
This should be his third year, I think.
Third year? Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone you knew on the Wizards is no longer there. Thomas Bryant, Nugget. Rui, Laker. Beal, Sun.
Kristaps, Celtic.
there's their starting five, bro. And, Kuzma's the last man standing out of that lineup, bro.
That's crazy. All
This
right,
is the
well,
only good trade for them.
Bro,
Like, they got
it-
first and a second. They got no first for Beal or Porzingis. So how they flip CP3 into a first and a second and Jordan Poole, I don't know.
well, hey, Poole and Kuzma, it's still fuck Kuz, but Poole and Kuzma can ball out. you
Well,
know?
Kuzma,
So,
he's not even signed yet. He's a free agent. He
yeah.
oh,
declined his
really?
player
I didn't
option.
know he was a free agent.
And
Yeah.
that man wants to be a Laker so badly. That man wants to be a Laker so badly. Oh, they got Kendrick Nunn.
No, they don't.
Oh,
That non-factor. Non-factor.
Bro,
Doesn't
this
matter.
dude-
He dropped like 30 that first game back, or that first game he played, and then didn't do nothing after, bro.
They got Taj Gibson and Delon Wright.
Taj
No.
Gibson.
in 2023, I didn't even know he was still playing.
I didn't either. I thought he was done.
He averaged 3 points per game, 1 rebound,
Oh
and
my gosh.
less than assist.
Oh my! It's been a long way since Chicago, big fella. You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, the Wizards won that trade, bro. I'm sorry. No, there's no way. You got to be delusional to think the Warriors won that trade.
bro, no. That because like, okay, all right. So off of Poole now, how are the Warriors gonna make this work? Like in all realistic sense, how are they gonna make this work?
I mean, they can do CP3 off the bench for like a pass, like for just like a playmaker for their bench. Because like, let's be honest, their bench be struggling out there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, true.
but
But
like
they-
other than that, I don't know.
Like,
Other than
you-
that, the Warriors are looking shaky.
Like
If-
you really can't bench a Hall of Fame point guard. You know how crazy that sounds?
I've seen some people saying make Steph Curry a shooting guard.
That could work. Only
Arguable,
because
because then you can move. Right, you can move Clay to
Small forward.
small forward, but then he'd arguably also be undersized. So,
But they
know,
already run small ball.
right? They
They
could
al-
make it work. In reality, they could, but
If they say, Chris, we'll make you starting point guard if all you do is pass, then I can see it working. Because that's what Curry thrived off of, is like off ball movement.
right.
So if Curry just does that thing where he runs around like 70 times and then shoots a 3, like I can see it working. But if they also lose Draymond, the Warriors are gonna be looking.
They're not going to be good.
They're not gonna. They'll be looking rough. Can we also bring up the fact that none of their late draft picks are there anymore, bro?
Yep.
Me and Vaughn were talking about this. They lost Poole, Barnes, the other guy, the one that was
Wiseman?
Wiseman. The only people that's left and starting is Looney and Kaminga. Kaminga doesn't even start though.
No, he doesn't start, and he barely played in the playoffs. Barely played.
The only person who's still there and playing is Looney. I don't know. They did nothing with that downward slope that they had. They could have used that time to like just really just make themselves a dynasty all over again.
Mhm.
And they just didn't. And now they're back at square one almost.
Right. I mean, they did get rid of Poole, but the kid they drafted, I think they're hoping to get a better Poole, if that makes sense. Like, not necessarily build around him, but like it's just smarter on the court, because Poole be throwing up some dumb shots, he be making some dumb passes, you know what I'm saying? He can get away with that on the Wizards. He can't do that on the Warriors, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know nothing about that rookie they drafted, so
Yeah. The Warriors are another big question mark for this season. And also let's like bring up the fact that like Clay is not the same player anymore. Like Curry is still like for some reason somehow still playing out of his mind, had one of his better seasons.
he's having a LeBron-esque career.
Yeah. So it's just like I'm very interested in see what the Warriors do from here on out because last year was rough for them, and last year they had everybody, like, and this year they don't have the people. Like, I don't know, it's very weird. I don't think I've seen a downfall like of a team so quickly. Like they just won a championship, and that roster is completely different already.
Mm.
Yeah, if Clay was who he used to be defensively, I could see it looking better in the future for him. But there's reason why he was getting targeted, and then he would have to go 4-0 or four rings, because they were just targeting him on the offense. They know if you want to score, get Clay on you, he move a step slower. So that is the issue why he can't really play small forward as effectively as he used to be. They just need size. They need some centers. They need some guys who know play help defense. You know,
They literally have 0 centers on their roster.
yeah.
Hey, I thought you were a Kevon Looney fan.
He's more power forward size. You know, he's not a center.
He's like 6'9". He's like 6'9" or 6'10". Yeah.
Yeah. So they need some help on the defensive end if this is ever going to work out.
Yeah, very interesting. The Warriors, insane. Love it.
I love to see it though.
A lot of people love to see it. A lot of people love to see
I'm
it.
living for it.
Do you see them having like a Lakers-esque season whereas they start off really poorly and make a comeback? Or do you just see them just like kind of floundering about?
I mean, it's possible. But we also don't know if they're actually going to keep CP3 or not, because that's another thing. They could have just traded Poole to get him away and somehow managed with something better and more valuable, to get, I don't know, something else. But we'll see if they keep him.
It'd be insane if they don't, because they lost picks. So it'll be kind of insane.
They would need a literal superstar.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Oh, sorry.
Wait, just one thing about like if they're going to trade CP3. I think that depends on how well the team does and not necessarily on him. Because like we've seen in the past, aging stars like Carmelo will get blamed and then they trade or waive him or whatever. And then the Rockets, like they blamed all their issues on Carmelo. He was there for like 15 games. They got rid of him and they were still kind of ass. So I could see the Warriors team struggling because guess what? They still don't have size. CP3 gets the finger pointed at him, and it could end up like he can't beat the wash allegations because his team is struggling, and he's a guy for like team success wherever he goes.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I don't want to see, him get blamed for the issues of this roster construction. So
yeah.
Hopefully he looks like the point guard on this Warriors team.
Yes. Well, that would be nice, but you never know. All right. I think this is the last thing before the draft. I think we can fit both in because this will be kind of just like pretty quick. D Rose, the Nuggets declined the team option. How do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about the hype for D Rose being a free agent, even though he's, hasn't been, kind of just been floundering about? So how do y'all feel about this whole thing going down?
I think someone will pick him up. Thibodeau didn't really use him.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of surprisingly relying on Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett. But I think he's still good. It's just we haven't been able to see it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited, more or less, to see where he goes and what happens.
I would like to see the Bulls sign him. They got no point guard, really. And, what better way to bring back Derrick Rose to Chicago? I mean, this is going to be another lost season for them. They didn't have any draft picks in this draft. They didn't trade for anything at the trade deadline. Lonzo Ball is out for the season again. They got nothing to lose by signing Derrick Rose. But what might end up happening, same way Isaiah Thomas went out, same way Kemba Walker went out. He's going to struggle to find a team. He's a score first point guard at this point. And then, like, they're going to say, like, he's a defensive liability. No one's going to sign him. That's a scenario that I feel like is more likely, but I don't want to happen.
Yeah, it's
What was
kind of
those
sad.
times?
What's happening to the NBA right now. A lot of good players, even though they're a little bit older, are just silently leaving the league, just like unceremoniously. Just like all of a sudden they're no longer playing in the States. All of a sudden they're playing in a different country. Like, I feel like an expansion needs to happen. Like, too many good talent is playing overseas right now.
Right.
So I think that is now.
Just like touching on that a little bit, it's like, bro, Adam Silver talks about an expansion. He's probably talked about it each of the past like 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And there's no like nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, either make it happen or don't.
Bro, since Adam Silver has been talking about an expansion, the NHL has had 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro.
The NFL had an expansion. Like, it's kind of insane how far behind the NBA is between the big 3.
Like, I understand it takes more time and effort to like expand like the league in general, but it can't be that hard. Like,
it's also like the fact that we're like the last ones to get a Vegas team. Like, the baseball is about to have a Vegas team.
yeah.
Like, what are we doing? we're
Lagging.
losing the race. We really are. All right. Should we talk about the draft at all? Or do you guys want to save that? Because, we do a prospects episode around Summer League. Let's talk about this, though. Were you guys surprised about how early the draft was this year? I was so surprised. I don't know if that was just me, but like, I feel like they had it super early this year.
I mean, I feel like it's always like it was like a week after the finals, right? More or less, something like that.
I don't know.
Ugh.
Because the finals, the past few finals have gone to at least game 6. And this one went to what, 5, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably why.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Yeah, it happened in June too.
Mhm.
Okay. It happened 2 days ago last year. So
Okay, yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's a good thing. I don't know. I was just like, what the I was like, already? I was like, what the hell? Well, let's talk about it. Wemby, obviously. First round pick.
I just 1 year, just 1 year. I want someone to go projected number 1 and not be picked number 1. I would love to see that. Like, not even on some like hater shit. Just like, I don't know. To me, like that, it would bring a smile to my face almost. Like, yeah, bro, you not him, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
wasn't Markelle
Like-
Fultz the last one to like not be projected first to go first?
was he?
I think so.
I don't
know. That was a long time ago, bro.
It was a long time ago. I don't remember
Well,
who was his draft class.
Jason Tatum, Lonzo Ball, 2017, Donovan Mitchell,
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox.
I was kind of stacked. I'm not gonna lie.
Because even going to Zion Ja, that was like the last, like that one was obviously Zion.
Right.
Like, we haven't had to even say one that didn't go projected to be first. Can we at least have one that's a battle? Like
Right.
like let's see, like we haven't even had a battle, bro.
Right.
It's like being Wemby, obviously. What was last year? Last year was Cat,
Mhm.
and then the year before that was I'm hurting myself. Anyways,
The
When
closest thing we got to something like that is this year's number 2 pick should have been
oh
Scoot.
yeah, this
Should've been
year's number
Scoot.
2. The Shark. Okay, Hornets fans, I pray for you every day. Michael Jordan had to damage your franchise one last time before he sold the team. Because that man chose. I get it. You probably Scoot's also a point guard. Brandon Miller can probably fit the team better. But Scoot any other year would have been the first pick.
No, like that's actually facts. That's
Like
actually facts.
any other year, he would have been the first pick.
And I feel like Jaw too, because didn't he go second or no?
He went second, yeah.
Yeah. So
Like that was the year where like Zion haters were like, "Oh, Jaw could definitely be a first pick. He's just as
Mhm.
good," which turned out to be right. But at the time, if you said Zion first pick, you got looked at like you were insane. But yes, I still follow the Hornets page. I unfollowed them after they drafted Brandon Miller, but I was still following them before the draft. And the comments underneath the post when they announced that Brandon Miller was their second pick, people were like, "I'm on suicide watch. Like, this is why we're always up. This is why we're poverty." Like,
I don't think it was that bad of a pick, bro.
if I'm a Hornets front office, I can see why. Like I said, Scoot's also a point guard. They're putting 100% into LaMelo. Like LaMelo is their guy all the way. So they did it because Brandon Miller would be a better fit. But when it comes to drafting, because there's different thoughts from people. Some people are like pick the better fit. Some people are like pick the best guy. Some people are like go crazy, pick a wild card. Like I'm team pick the best player available. That's who I am.
I'm best fit.
Yeah, I'm like you can be what and neither side is wrong.
Right.
So I get it, but at the same time, because I'm pick the best guy. To see Scoot go second, to see Scoot go third. Go Blazers, bro. That's gonna be nice.
That'll be fire. That'll definitely
I'm
be fire.
so excited for that. As long as Dame doesn't leave for Miami, as everyone else is saying he's going to, like the Blazers look exciting. The only downside is that they have like a lot of guards now.
Well, see, but I think that's the thing. I don't know if they're expecting Dame to retire or if they're expecting him to leave on his own accord or if they're going to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're kind of trying to work towards that next Dame and CJ, transition.
And they're not even hiding it.
Right. Like they traded CJ and then moved up Anthony to shooting guard. And now they're starting to draft and, just get more and more guards.
Yeah.
So I think they're just kind of waiting until Dame just fades out.
Yeah. Which so wild. The people are like, trade Dame. Like that man just signed a bag.
Right.
Like if the Blazers traded him, they're for sure going down as like probably the worst office of all time.
Oh yeah, literally. Unless Dame demands that trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like they've had years to do something and just haven't at all.
They tried different coaches, didn't work.
Yeah.
Added some players here and there, didn't work.
It's insane it's insane to think about. But exciting. The rookie class this year is super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Like the top 3 is probably some of the best top 3 we've gotten in a while. Like the last top 3 I can think of that was this good was Zion, Ja, and RJ. But
RJ's debatable, but yeah.
He was at the time. He was exciting.
RJ is still debatable, but
at the time, he was called Maple Mamba.
Overhyped.
Oh my! I forgot, bro. I forgot we got an RJ hater.
Bro, hater.
But plus, Chet is in this rookie class technically.
Yeah,
Will we see a Ben
Yeah.
Simmons moment?
we might. we
That man-
might.
That man's looking buff as hell. So
The battle of Chet and Wembyama.
yeah, for real,
Oh,
it's insane. Should we? Do we have time? I don't know, bro. Cause I started this late, so we might be way over an hour for all I know. Yeah, we're at an hour 5 already. So we'll probably just cut it off here. I wanted to bring up the Zion thing where where the Pelicans were thinking about trading him so they can get the higher pick in the draft. I wanted to talk about that, but I feel like there's no need. I feel like just hearing that you can.
The
it
draft
says-
is over. It didn't happen.
yeah, it didn't happen, and the headline itself, like that, all you have to do is see the headline and just move on.
Right.
So that's what we're gonna call it. I think, even though we moved to every other week for the playoffs, I think every other week is working really well for us. Like, so we're gonna stay out every other week from here on out. So, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. If you are listening on podcast platforms, make sure you rate us that good old 5 stars. Leave a review. If you think that Scoot was obviously the second pick, let us know. If you're a Hornets fan, I'm sorry.
Condolences.
Condolences. We're on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock. So check us out there for clips, episode updates, and all that good stuff. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.